Let's jump right into the leadoff because last week there were some rule changes that are going to be coming down the pike for 2023 to our great game of baseball, and they have been met with a little bit of consternation. Understandably so, because it seems like the game may be changing, but I'm here to tell you that some, not all, some of these rule changes are not necessarily a bad thing. Okay, let's talk about the pitch clock. All right, the pitch clock is something that is going to be instituted. They are saying that a pitcher is going to have 15 seconds when no one's on base to deliver a pitch from the moment that he gets the ball back. The guy on base is going to have 20 seconds. There's also a rule baked in there that he can only step off of the rubber 2 times in an at-bat, and a batter will have 1 timeout per at-bat as well. 15 seconds seems very short because there's not a tiger that is even within that right now. But I think adjustments will be made, and it could be a good thing. We've seen in the minor leagues, they have seen that there are significant impacts to the pace of play and the timing of games, getting games down around the 2.5 to 2 hours and 45 minute mark, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Now listen, I'm the type of person that when I watch baseball, I watch baseball. I don't care how long it takes because I'm watching baseball. And I'm sure that there's a ton of fans out there that are the same way. That the timing really doesn't matter. But there are moments of lulls. And so, when you've got, for instance, Karinchak from the Guardians, right, where he's flipping the ball back and forth and running his fingers through his hair and doing all this twitchy stuff. Or Mike Clevenger with his little twitches that he's got. Like, that stuff just is... I get the mechanisms, and I get what was it, Billy Church in For Love of the Game, where he was clearing the mechanism and all those things that help them do that. I get that, but it doesn't need to extend, and those seconds add up and add up and add up. So adding a pitch clock is going to, I think, just improve the overall enjoyment of the game, right? The ability to watch and the entertainment aspect of it. Things are going to be moving a little bit faster, and that's not necessarily a bad thing at all. The one thing that I'm not necessarily thrilled about in this rule is the stepping off the rubber thing. At a certain point, pitchers need to be able to hold runners on base, and this, in conjunction with another rule change they made, are mainly meant to create opportunities for stolen bases, because stolen bases have just plummeted over the last number of years. So they're trying to institute more action into the game, and I understand that to a certain extent. Listen, I have never been a fan of Rob Manfred, but some of these things are not necessarily a bad thing. That other rule change that's going to help with the stolen bases, they say, they put it under the guise of player safety, but really they're suggesting that it could also impact the ability to steal bases. They're making the base a little bit larger. It's going to go from 15 inches where it's at now to about 18 inches total. And they say it's for player safety so people's ankles aren't getting stepped on. Listen, if we're getting all up in an uproar about the size of a base, it does not fundamentally change the game of baseball. At a certain point, I think it was after the 1968 season, they lowered the mound. That has an impact, right? If they move the mound from 60 feet 6 inches backwards or forward, like, that is fundamentally messing with the aspects of the game. But a pitch clock, not necessarily. More so than the base size, though. The base size, let's not get upset about this. However, the one that we should be upset about is the shift. The fact that they are banning a shift and not allowing teams to put more than 2 infielders on one side of second base and more than 2 infielders on the other side of second base. This is the part I don't like, because you're messing with strategy. If a team chooses to shift and a player can't beat that shift, why is the team that's doing the right thing the one that's getting penalized? Back in the 1940s, there's a great book about Ted Williams called The Kid. And in that book, Bill Bradley talks about how the Cleveland baseball team at that time shifted on Ted Williams So shifts aren't something new. We associate them with analytics and all of those, that new wave of baseball and the baseball nerds, right? But the shifts have been around forever. And truthfully, it should be up to the hitters to be able to beat the shift. I'm not going to sit back here and be some old curmudgeon and be like, oh, these batters need to learn how to hit the ball to the other side. Like, they do. But at a certain point, if they're unwilling to, and teams are still willing to employ them, why is the team that's doing the right thing the one that's getting punished with this rule? Sure, it takes action away. Sure, guys are losing out on base hits. Shohei Ohtani has lost the most amount of hits to the shift this year. And you know who else is on that list? Jeimer Candelario. I think at last check he had lost about 16 hits this season based on the shift. But you know what? Hit the ball the other way. Or as Ted Williams would have said in his book, man, I just want to hit it over the shift and out of the park. Because that's all. He didn't want to try to hit it the other way. He just went to hit home runs. But banning the shift just doesn't seem like it is something that is needed. We're going to kowtow to this new crop of hitters that refuse to actually make contact and put the ball and play the other way. I don't like this one. The pitch clock, I don't care about. The bases, I don't care about. But this one, I've got a little bit of a problem with changing and banning the shift. But it's going to happen. In 2023, these rules are going to go in effect, and it's going to be part of the game. Is that going to change the way that I watch baseball? No, it's not. I'm still going to love the game of baseball. It's going to be really interesting to see how teams get around or try to competitively work around that shift rule. Because there are going to be some that try to, whether you're putting a guy in motion, which I think that would be an awful move, or maybe you switch, substitute position players in the sense that, oh, my third baseman is now actually called my left fielder, so he can go stand over here. Like, just different creative ways to get it's. There's going to be a team that does it and tries to skirt the rules somehow. But I just wish that they would not ban the shift, and that is going to do it for the leadoff today.